Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. Today, we're digging into something really fundamental to education.
Okay.
What makes a teacher effective? And not just effective in terms of, test scores, but what helps them really thrive?
Right.
Like what contributes to their well-being, their decision to stay in the profession, their relationships with students,
Mm,
parents, principals, the whole school community.
yeah, the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Exactly.
a big deal.
So to really get into this, we've been looking at this super comprehensive research review. It's called Teachers' Psychological Characteristics. Do they matter for teacher effectiveness, teachers' well-being, retention, and interpersonal relations?
Catchy title.
It is a mouthful, right?
Gets the point across.
Yeah, it's very thorough, which is what we like. And it basically pulls together a ton of existing studies, like meta-analyses and systematic reviews, to give us this, big picture view of what the research says.
Yeah, a shortcut to understanding this very complex area.
Mm,
Exactly. And our mission today is to distill that for you, to give you like the key takeaways
okay.
about which psychological characteristics of teachers
Yeah.
really matter for these important outcomes. And just to be clear, we're not talking about their subject matter knowledge or
Oh.
their background or their, demographic characteristics.
Mhm.
It's really about what's going on inside, like their motivations,
Okay.
their emotions, their thinking patterns, even their personalities.
That's interesting.
And we'll see how those connect to those four key areas we talked about.
Mm.
Teacher effectiveness, which includes things like student achievement, quality of instruction, teacher well-being, so think stress and burnout.
Yeah.
Teacher retention,
Yeah.
whether they stick with it or not. And then those all-important interpersonal relations with everyone at school.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is, but it's fascinating stuff. So are you ready to dive in?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, so the first thing that jumped out at me from this review was just how many different psychological aspects of teachers they actually looked at.
Yep.
I mean, they covered 8 major areas.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. And I think it really highlights how teaching is it's so much more than just knowing your stuff.
Right.
It's really personal, you know?
Absolutely.
Like who you are as a person really matters in this profession.
Good. Yeah, your mindset, your attitudes, it all plays a role.
Yeah.
So speaking of mindsets, the first area they dive into is self-efficacy.
Okay.
And you've probably heard this term before, but to put it simply, it's basically a teacher's belief in their own ability to do the job well.
Like their confidence level.
Yeah, exactly. Like how confident they feel in handling those everyday teaching tasks. It's that I can do this attitude.
That makes sense.
And there's actually a standardized way to measure this called the Teacher's Sense of Efficacy Scale,
Oh, wow.
or TSES for short.
Yeah.
And it looks at 3 main dimensions. So how confident teachers feel in their instructional practices.
Okay.
Like, am I actually teaching this stuff effectively?
Yeah.
Their classroom management skills, so can I keep things under control? And then student engagement, am I reaching these kids? Are they interested?
Right, because if you don't feel confident in those areas,
That's going to be tough.
it's going to show. Yeah.
Exactly. And the research shows that this belief, this self-efficacy, it actually has some pretty noticeable effects, especially when it comes to a teacher's well-being.
Oh, interesting.
So, for example, one meta-analysis by Allo and his colleagues in 2014, they really focused on this connection between classroom management, self-efficacy,
Okay.
that feeling of, like, I've got this, I can run this classroom smoothly, and burnout.
Yeah, because that's a big one for teachers, right?
Huge. I mean, anyone who's ever taught knows
Ah,
that feeling of just being completely drained and overwhelmed.
absolutely.
And what they found was actually really interesting. They found that the more confident teachers felt in their ability to manage the classroom, the less likely they were to experience those classic burnout symptoms,
Like what kinds of symptoms?
like emotional exhaustion, cynicism,
Mm-hmm.
that feeling of detachment from your work, your students.
Yeah, just feeling like you're going through the motions.
Exactly. And on the flip side, teachers with higher self-efficacy in classroom management, they actually reported a greater sense of personal accomplishment.
Oh, that's interesting.
They felt like they were making a difference, which makes sense, right?
Absolutely. If you feel like you're actually succeeding in creating a positive learning environment,
Yeah.
that's gotta feel good.
It's a huge boot. I mean, just imagine the opposite, right?
Yeah, if you're constantly struggling to keep things under control,
Yeah,
that's gotta be draining.
totally. It's like a constant uphill battle, and it's going to take a toll on you emotionally.
So it seems like that sense of I can handle this
Mhm.
is really important for teachers to avoid burnout.
It's crucial.
Okay, so we've talked about classroom management, but what about a teacher's commitment to the profession overall.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Does self-efficacy play a role there as well?
It does, and there was a really interesting meta-analysis in 2015 by Chestnut and Burley that looked at this specifically. And they focused on how self-efficacy relates to a teacher's overall commitment to the profession, both for like brand new teachers just starting out and for those who've been at it for a while.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
And their findings were pretty much what you'd expect. Teachers with stronger self-efficacy across the board were more likely to be committed to teaching, both short-term and long-term.
Okay, so that makes sense. If you believe you can do it well, you're more likely to stick with it.
Exactly. But here's where it gets even more interesting. They also found that when the way they measured self-efficacy was very specifically tied to actual teaching tasks,
Okay.
like specific skills and challenges that teachers face every day, that link to commitment was even stronger.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it really highlighted that this belief, this self-efficacy,
Yeah.
it needs to be rooted in those concrete practical skills of teaching.
So it's not just a general sense of confidence. It's
Right.
about feeling capable of handling the actual nuts and bolts of the job.
Exactly. It's like if you feel good about your ability to explain a concept clearly, or manage a challenging behavior, or create an engaging lesson plan, that's what really fuels that long-term commitment.
It's like having the tools and knowing how to use them.
Yes. Perfect analogy.
So we're seeing that self-efficacy is really important for teachers in terms of their own well-being and their commitment.
Mm-hmm.
But what about its impact on students? Does a teacher's self-efficacy actually lead to better outcomes for the kids in their classroom?
Yeah. That's the million-dollar question, right?
Right.
And unfortunately, it's not as straightforward as you might think.
Really?
Yeah, so a 2011 review by Klassen and his colleagues, they pointed out that the research on self-efficacy and student achievement,
Okay.
it's been kind of all over the place. Like some studies show positive links, some don't.
So inconsistent.
Yeah. And they also pointed out that there just haven't been a ton of studies that really dig deep into this specific connection.
Okay, so we need more research in this area.
Exactly. It's like we intuitively think that a more confident teacher would lead to, students learning more, getting better grades.
Right, because they're probably teaching better, they're more engaged.
Yeah, but the evidence so far hasn't been super clear-cut.
Interesting.
And there was another review in 2016 by Z and Kuman, and they specifically focused on studies that used very precise measures of self-efficacy,
Okay.
like really well-defined measures.
Mm-hmm.
And their findings were sort of similar. They found some pretty solid connections between a teacher's self-efficacy and how motivated their students were.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, which is a really important outcome, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they also found some evidence that teacher self-efficacy might have a positive influence on instructional quality.
Okay, so the actual teaching methods.
Like, are they using effective strategies? Are they adapting to students' needs? That kind of thing.
That makes sense.
But here's the thing. They didn't find strong support for a direct link between teacher self-efficacy and student-teacher relationships.
Oh, that's surprising.
I know, right? You'd think that a teacher who feels more competent, more in control, would naturally have stronger connections with their students.
Like they'd be more approachable, maybe more empathetic.
Exactly. But the research, at least in this review, didn't really back that up.
So it seems like there's more to those relationships than just the teacher's confidence level.
Yeah, it's a complex dynamic for sure.
It is, and I think it points to the fact that there are so many factors at play in a classroom.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just one thing that makes a difference.
Right. It's like this intricate web of personalities, teaching styles,
Yeah,
the curriculum, the school environment.
it's everything.
Yeah, and teasing out the impact of just one factor, like self-efficacy, it can be tricky.
Totally.
And there's another point I wanted to bring up about this self-efficacy research.
Okay.
It comes from a 2014 meta-analysis by Klassen and Twy, and they specifically looked at self-efficacy and overall teacher effectiveness.
Okay, so big picture.
Exactly. And they found something kind of interesting. Compared to other studies on self-efficacy, they found a weaker average relationship.
Oh, so the link wasn't as strong.
Right. But here's the catch. They also found that a teacher's self-efficacy was more strongly related to how external observers rated their performance
Oh, interesting.
than to student achievement measures.
So who are these external observers?
Like principals,
Okay.
supervisors, people like that. So it seems like when a teacher feels confident in their abilities, it might be more apparent in their actual teaching practices, like what someone observing them would see,
Yeah.
than it is in, say, how their students perform on standardized tests.
So it might not translate directly to those measurable outcomes.
Exactly. It might be more about like the quality of the interactions, the way they structure lessons, their overall classroom presence.
Okay, so it's more nuanced than just high self-efficacy equals high test scores.
Right. It's not a simple equation.
It makes sense, though, because as you said before, measuring student progress accurately and isolating the impact of just one teacher characteristic is really hard.
Yeah, there's so much else going on.
Right.
So many other variables.
Eh.
So to sum up this whole self-efficacy thing, it seems like it's definitely important for teachers' own well-being. And there are some promising links to student motivation and instructional quality. But that direct connection to your grades and your relationship with the teacher, it's more complex. And it's not as consistent in the research.
And we have to remember that a lot of this also depends on how self-efficacy is measured.
Yes, that's a really important point. Like, are we talking about a general feeling of confidence, or are we talking about specific skills?
Exactly. And the review emphasizes that future research really needs to focus on developing more consistent and precise measures of self-efficacy.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit. We've talked about believing in yourself, but what about how you explain things? The next area we're going to dive into is causal attributions.
Causal attributions.
Yeah, it's a fancy term, but it's basically about how teachers interpret why students succeed or fail.
Okay, so like, do they think it's because of something the student did?
Exactly, or didn't do.
Or is it something outside of the student's control?
Yeah, like, is it because the student's naturally smart?
Okay.
Or because they worked really hard? Or is it because the test was too easy?
Right, or maybe the teaching wasn't very good.
Yeah, or they just got lucky, you know?
So basically, how teachers explain those outcomes.
And the review makes this interesting distinction between interpersonal attributions, which are focused on the student,
Okay.
and interpersonal attributions, which are focused on the teacher themselves.
Oh, that's interesting. So like, if a student fails a test, the teacher might attribute it to the student's lack of effort.
Right, that would be interpersonal,
Okay.
but they could also attribute it to their own, maybe I didn't explain it well enough.
Right, that would be intrapersonal.
Exactly. So there's this whole layer of how teachers are explaining things to themselves.
It's like their own internal narrative.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about those interpersonal attributions first, the ones focused on the student. There was a 2018 review by Wang and Hall that looked at this, and they specifically looked at how these attributions relate to student performance.
Makes sense.
And what they found was pretty compelling. They found that when teachers believe a student's success is due to internal factors, like their effort or their ability, those students tend to perform better academically, and they're more motivated.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy almost, right?
Yeah, if the teacher believes in you and they think you're capable, you're more likely to rise to the occasion.
Exactly. And on the flip side, if teachers attribute student success to external things, like luck or an easy task,
Yeah.
that tends to have a negative effect on student outcomes.
Interesting. So it's not just about being positive.
Right.
It's about attributing the success to the student's own actions and abilities.
Exactly.
That makes sense. I guess it's about fostering a sense of agency in the students.
Yes. And they also pointed out that this whole thing is often reciprocal.
What do you mean by that?
So students who are doing well might lead teachers to naturally attribute their success to their internal qualities.
Okay.
Like, oh, this kid's getting good grades, they must be smart, they must be working hard, and then that in turn encourages the student even more.
Oh, so it's like a positive feedback loop?
Exactly. They feed off each other.
That's cool.
Yeah, but the flip side is also true, right? If a teacher consistently attributes a student's struggles to a lack of ability,
Yeah.
that can create a really negative dynamic.
Absolutely. It's like they're setting the student up for failure.
And this takes us to those intrapersonal attributions, the ones that teachers make about themselves.
Okay, so how teachers explain their own successes and failures?
Well, in this case, they specifically looked at how teachers explain their occupational stress.
Okay, so like why they're feeling stressed at work.
Exactly. And that same 2018 review by Wang and Hall, they found that if teachers attribute their stress to things they feel they can control, they tend to have higher well-being and less burnout.
That makes sense.
Right. It's about having a sense of agency.
Yeah, like if you feel like you have some power to change the situation.
Exactly. So instead of just feeling helpless and overwhelmed, they're like, okay, I'm stressed because I'm not managing my time effectively,
Okay.
or because I'm taking on too much, or I need to communicate better with parents, and then they can actually do something about it.
So it's about focusing on the things within your control.
Exactly. But the review did caution that the number of studies supporting these conclusions about causal attributions, it's still relatively small, so more research is definitely needed in this area.
Yeah, but it seems like a really important area to understand.
Oh, absolutely. Like how teachers are explaining things to themselves, it has a huge impact on their own well-being.
And potentially on their students as well.
Exactly.
Oh.
Okay, so ready to move on to the next big thing.
Always.
All right, so let's talk about teacher expectations.
Oh, this is an interesting one.
Yeah, and it's a little different from just hoping for the best for your students. This is about the inferences that teachers make about students' current and future academic achievement.
So like judgments about how well they're going to do.
Exactly. And based on these judgments, they actually classify teachers as having like low versus high expectations for their students.
Oh, wow. So it's like a general tendency.
Yeah, and there's this whole theory of teacher expectation effects,
Okay.
which suggests that these expectations can actually influence how teachers interact with students.
Interesting.
And this can then lead to self-fulfilling prophecies in student achievement.
Oh, wow. So if a teacher expects a student to do poorly, they might actually treat them in a way that contributes to that outcome.
It can happen subconsciously.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a kind of a classic concept in
Yeah,
education.
it rings a bell.
And a classic example is a study from 1968.
Oh, wow. Way back.
Yeah, by Rosenthal and Jacobson.
Okay.
And it was a pretty complex study, but the basic idea was that they randomly labeled some students as bloomers.
Bloomers.
Yeah, like they were going to have like a huge intellectual growth spurt. And they told the teachers.
Oh.
And then at the end of the year, they found that those randomly labeled bloomers,
Mm-hmm.
they actually did perform better than their peers.
Really?
Yeah, and the theory is that the teachers, maybe unconsciously, treated those students differently.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Right. They gave them more attention, more challenging work, more encouragement.
And the kids responded to that.
Exactly. So it really highlights how powerful these expectations can be.
And potentially dangerous too, right?
Oh, yeah, because if a teacher doesn't believe in you,
Mm-hmm.
they might not give you the same opportunities or support.
Right, and that could really limit a student's potential.
Exactly. In a more recent systematic review in 2018 by Wang and colleagues, they looked specifically at how these academic expectations
Mm-hmm.
relate to different student outcomes.
Okay.
And guess what they found?
What?
Associations between high teacher expectations and higher student achievement.
Not surprised.
It's not surprising, right? But it's good to have that confirmation. And they also found that students with high expectation teachers had higher levels of what they call adaptive motivation.
Adaptive motivation.
Yeah, so that means they were more likely to stick with challenging tasks.
Okay.
They had more resilience. They believed in their ability to learn and grow.
So it's not just about grades.
Right,
It's about their whole attitude towards learning.
exactly. And they also had stronger beliefs in their own abilities,
Okay.
higher expectations for their own success, and get this, lower anxiety.
That's huge.
I know, right? Like if you feel like your teacher believes in you, it just takes some of the pressure off.
Yeah, you can focus on learning instead of worrying about failing.
Exactly, and that can make a world of difference.
Absolutely. So high expectations seem to create this whole positive cascade of effects for students.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Now, they did mention that the findings regarding actual learning behaviors
Okay.
were kind of inconclusive.
Like how students approach their studies?
Yeah, like are they more likely to participate in class?
Mm-hmm.
Do their study habits change?
Okay.
That kind of thing. It wasn't as clear-cut.
Interesting. But the overall message seems pretty clear, right?
Yeah, teacher expectations, they really do matter.
They do. And another important question is, can we actually change those expectations?
That's a great question. And there was a 2018 meta-analysis by DeBoer and his colleagues that looked at interventions aimed at doing just that.
Okay.
So basically, programs or strategies designed to influence teachers' academic expectations. And they found a small but statistically significant positive effect on student achievement.
Oh, that's promising.
Yeah, it suggests that we can actually move the needle on this.
That's great news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they also suspected that a key factor in whether these interventions work is how much the teachers themselves buy into them.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right. Like if a teacher is skeptical or resistant to the idea of changing their expectations, it's probably not going to have much of an impact.
Yeah, they have to be on board with it.
Exactly. They have to believe that it's possible and that it's worthwhile.
It's like anything else. If you don't believe in it, you're not going to put in the effort.
Totally. So the big takeaway here is that teacher academic expectations, they are related to a whole bunch of positive outcomes for students. Not just achievement, but their motivation, their self-beliefs, their overall success.
Hmm.
And we can potentially change those expectations through targeted efforts.
That's really encouraging.
It is, but the review does point out that future studies really need to do a better job of controlling for students' prior achievement.
Okay, so making sure that those positive outcomes are really due to the changed expectations.
Exactly. And not just because those students were already on a good trajectory.
Makes sense.
Okay, ready for something a little different?
Hit me.
All right, so we're going to step into the sometimes murky world of personality.
Oh, personality.
Yeah, and I know this could be a bit of a touchy subject because it's like, are we saying that some people are just born to be good teachers?
Right, like it's all in your genes?
Yeah, but that's not really what the research is saying.
Okay, so what is it saying then?
Well, first, we got to define what we mean by personality, right?
Okay.
It's basically those relatively enduring patterns of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that make you you.
Yeah, like your general style of being in the world.
Exactly. And it turns out that this does have some connection to how effective teachers are and how well they cope with the demands of the job. But the research is a bit more complicated than just saying, oh, extroverts make the best teachers or something like that.
Right, it's probably more nuanced than that.
Way more nuanced. So there was a 2014 meta-analysis by Klassen and Trees, and they actually looked at this connection between personality and teacher effectiveness.
Okay.
And they used a couple of different frameworks to measure personality, one being the Big Five, which you've probably heard of.
Yeah, isn't that like openness to experience, conscientiousness,
Yep.
extroversion, agreeableness, neuroticism?
Yes, you got it.
Yeah.
And then they also use the Myers-Briggs type indicator.
Okay, which is more about those personality types, right?
Exactly. But here's the interesting thing. When they initially analyzed all the personality traits together, just like lumped them all into one big category,
Okay.
they only found a small to very small positive link to teacher effectiveness.
So just saying personality matters.
Doesn't really tell us much.
Not really, it's too broad.
Exactly. It's like saying ingredients matter in a cake.
Right, but which ingredients?
Yeah, and in what quantities, how do they interact with each other?
Exact.
So to really understand how personality plays a role, we got to break it down.
Makes sense.
And there was another meta-analysis in 2005 by Montgomery and Ruck, and they looked at personality and teacher stress.
Okay.
And they also took this kind of like lump sum approach to personality. And they found small to medium positive relationships with both stress and burnout.
So again, not very specific.
Right. We don't know which specific personality traits are driving those results.
It's like a black box.
Yeah, exactly. So to really get some clarity, we need to look at individual personality traits.
Okay.
And that's what some more recent meta-analyses have done, like the one by Kramer and Binder in 2015,
Oh, okay.
and another one by Kim and colleagues in 2019. And both of these actually focused on the Big Five personality traits.
Okay, so they broke it down into those 5 categories.
Exactly, which gives us a much clearer picture.
So what did they find? Like, which traits were linked to positive outcomes for teachers?
Well, Kim and his colleagues in 2019, they found that being extroverted, so outgoing and sociable, open to new experiences, conscientious, meaning organized and responsible,
Okay.
and emotionally stable, those are all positively correlated with an overall measure of teacher effectiveness.
Okay, so those sound like pretty good qualities for a teacher to have.
They do, and it kind of makes sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, like if you're enthusiastic and organized.
And you can handle the ups and downs of the job.
Yeah.
It's going to show up in how you teach.
Right, and students are probably going to respond well to that.
Exactly. And interestingly, these connections were even stronger when they looked at how teachers were evaluated by others,
Oh, interesting.
like by principals or supervisors.
So maybe those traits are particularly noticeable to someone observing the teacher.
Yeah, like they might create a more positive impression.
Okay.
But here's the thing. They didn't find strong links between these personality traits and student achievement.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it seems like being outgoing and organized might make a teacher seem more effective. But it doesn't necessarily mean that their students are getting better grades.
So it's not a guarantee of better outcomes for students.
Right. It's more complicated than that. And they also didn't find any significant effects on burnout.
Okay, so those traits might not protect you from feeling stressed and overwhelmed.
Exactly. So it's not a magic bullet.
Right, it's just one piece of the puzzle.
In the 2015 meta-analysis by Kramer and Binder, they actually focused specifically on burnout.
Okay.
And they had some slightly different findings.
Oh.
Yeah, they found that being high in neuroticism,
Neuroticism.
which is basically the opposite of emotional stability.
Okay, so like prone to negative emotions.
Yeah, worrying a lot, getting easily stressed, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
They found that that was linked to higher levels of burnout.
That makes sense.
Right. So like if you're already predisposed to feeling anxious and overwhelmed,
Yeah,
the demands of teaching are just going to amplify that.
right. It's going to be a tougher job.
Exactly. But they also found some evidence that being agreeable, so cooperative and kind
Okay.
and extroverted, might actually be negatively related to burnout.
Oh, really? That's surprising.
I know, right? You would think those would be good things.
Yeah, like being friendly and outgoing.
But their theory was that maybe those teachers are more likely to take on too much.
Oh,
They have trouble saying no.
yeah. People pleasers.
Exactly. And that can lead to burnout.
That makes sense.
Now, their findings for conscientiousness were a bit mixed. And they agreed with Kim and his colleagues that being open to new experiences didn't seem to have much of an effect on burnout either way.
So the jury's still out on some of those traits.
Yeah, we need more research to really understand how they play out in the classroom.
Absolutely.
But the review's conclusion about all this personality stuff
Mm-hmm.
is that while those big five traits show some promise,
Mm-hmm.
especially extroversion in terms of how students perceive teachers,
Okay.
the relationships between personality and teacher well-being are still not entirely clear.
So it's not as simple as saying this personality type makes a good teacher.
No, it's way more complex than that.
It's about the whole person.
Yeah, and how all those different traits interact with each other.
And with the environment they're in.
Exactly. Okay, so let's move on to something that feels increasingly important in the world of teaching these days.
Okay, what's that?
Emotional intelligence.
Oh, EQ.
Yes. And this has become a real buzzword, but for good reason.
Yeah, it seems like a crucial skill for pretty much any profession.
Absolutely, but especially for teachers. I mean, you're dealing with so many different emotions all day long.
Right. From the kids, from parents, from colleagues.
Yeah, and your own emotions, too.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot to manage.
So, just to define it clearly, emotional intelligence is basically your ability to understand and manage emotions effectively.
Okay, so both your own emotions and the emotions of others.
Exactly. And it involves things like being able to accurately perceive emotions in yourself and others,
Okay.
using emotions to facilitate your thinking and problem solving,
Mm-hmm.
understanding how emotions work and how they can change over time.
Right, like emotional literacy.
Yeah, and then of course managing your emotions in a healthy and constructive way.
Right, so it's not about suppressing emotions, it's about understanding them and using them effectively.
Exactly. And there are actually specific measures for this, like the Bar on EQI or the Wong and Law Emotional Intelligence Scale.
Oh,